Hello, 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 and welcome back. I am Kris KeyZ, and you're listening to 14 Keys of Thinking Like a Pro. And I'm super, super excited to have my good friend, Nick Clark. He's a phenomenal bass player. I mean, you guys have seen him like all over. He's been on award shows. He's been on tour, played at sold out arenas. He's been at Coachella. He's been on the BET Awards. Some of the artists that you've probably heard him or seen him play with is started with JoJo, Christian McBride. Who else? Kanye West. You play with Chrisette Michelle, just to name a few people right off the bat. And we're going to get into more of all of that. But welcome to the KeyZ Method, Nick Clark.
What up, Chris? What up? What up?
What's up, man? So man, let's just run down this whole story, man, of for people that just, might have seen you or want to know your story of how you got to where you got to being currently playing bass with Kanye West. So take us back. Did you grow up playing bass your whole life?
No, my mom's side of the family is the musical side. Growing up in church, took piano lessons when I was, really little, like 5, 6, whatever, and then got into football, and then football was the focus for the next 15 years.
You was a sports guy.
Yeah.
Growing up. So that was your mental focus and direction at the time. Music was just, you was around it through your mom in church, but it was never. So you were trying to go to the NFL, I'm assuming then. That was the goal.
Well, like NFL, and then I was also like really into math and physics. So I was thinking about, going to get my PhD in physics and being in the like academia research world. But yeah, music took over.
Wow. Okay, but even before the music, because this is very interesting. So to be where you're at, you would think somebody would be like, you know what, soon as I popped out, man, I had a guitar in my hand training for this moment. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like your approach was, you were just focused on football and your degree or the physics, I wouldn't call it a normal life, but so this was still through high school when you were still focused on music, your freshman, sophomore year, or?
High school. High school on up through college.
Okay. And you grew up in Texas?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. Oh, well, that makes sense because Texas is a football state.
That it is.
For sure. So I'm assuming you went to a pretty good high school. Y'all had a good squad there?
Yeah, I went to Everman High School. It's on the south side of Fort Worth. It was a good football school when I was there. We went to state, in one state my junior and senior year in football, and then they also won in basketball. We had a bunch of track stars. It was a cool little hotbed.
Very nice, man. Y'all had a good hotbed of athletes come through there. So take me after you graduated high school. What was your next step in life then?
So after I graduated high school, I went to the Naval Academy. Started out in Rhode Island. They have the Naval Academy Preparatory School, which is where a lot of the athletes go to kind of get acclimated to that, to that kind of lifestyle. And then also the kids who like need a little extra boost to get into the Naval Academy. They go there too.
Okay. So how long was that? Was that a short season or a few years there?
Oh, that was short, super short. Once that winter hit around, I came right on back to Texas.
If you grew up in Texas, you can't have the winter. You used to 100 degrees.
Man, not one bit. The summer was great because the hottest it got was like 70. So I can do tour-a-days all day in 70-degree weather. But once end of September, October rolled around, I couldn't mess with that snow.
Right. So, okay. So you go to that for a short season, and then what's your next step after that? Because I remember, just knowing you personally, I know you played football at Texas State, right?
Yeah. So I transferred from Navy to go to Texas State, and started my football and academia career there.
About what year was that?
Oh, that was what? 2004. I got to Texas State spring of 2004.
Okay, so it was only maybe less than a year. Were you playing football, or I guess you were still being active and staying in shape when you went to the Naval Academy to come
Well,
back
that's
and
what
play
I.
football?
Well, that's what I went to do was play football. So
Okay,
like,
okay.
I mean, that's where are you from?
I'm originally from Alabama.
Okay, yeah. So what's funny? Well, not funny, but just like a weird culture thing is like up north, and especially in the Northeast, or if you're in a military family, like going to the academies are like it's a huge, like, prestigious honor. You have to get a note from your congressman to say that
Oh wow.
you know, that you're, basically that you have his approval to go, and like it's a whole big thing. But for me, it was like strictly just football. Like I wanted to play on TV, and that was the closest option that I had to make that happen.
Man, it's so weird what we look at. For me, I was like, man, anywhere, because I didn't go to a big D1 school or nothing. So I was like, man, any school that could put my name on the back. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Because every school just had their number.
Exactly.
You can put my name on the back. I'm signing.
Yep.
All right, so cool. So you're back in Texas with the
Uh-huh.
Heat
Yep.
and playing football at Texas State.
Mm-hmm.
How was that transition? Was it better for you here?
The transition was great because I was already a fairly, I guess, I don't know if I would say like disciplined, but I had an affinity for like making good grades in math classes. So I did well at the academy, and that's the structure there is like really, really rigid. So once I got to Texas State, like, so like, oh man, this was like a long time ago. So like our schedule in the academy was like you wake up at, I don't know, like maybe 5:30 or something.
Ooh.
And then you do, like whatever PT or whatever. And you have before class tutoring, and then you go to class and you're in class all day. It's like high school, like, 8 classes a day, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever. You get out of that, go to extra instruction, and then football practice. And then after football practice, you got mandatory study from like 7 to 10. Then you get 10 to 10:30 every night to shower or talk or whatever. In bed at 11, back up at 5. So like that was my schedule for I guess what June through December. So for 6 months. So once I got to Texas State, like nobody was doing that. So like I literally cut that in half, and the one thing that I kept was keeping my like mandatory study time. So after football practice or whatever, I just went to class, not to class, but to the library, and just did my thing from 7 to 10 every day, which for like civilian kids was like a stretch, but coming from military, like it was easy. Like, oh shoot, I ain't got to be up at 5:30 doing all this junk all day. Like,
it was still a scaling down. So that was by yourself, just your personal choice.
Yeah, that was just my personal choice. Yeah.
Wow, I know that benefit. I don't even have to ask if you finished. It's probably if you just wanted to finish graduating at Texas State.
Oh yeah, I finished. So I started all 4 years there in football and finished my undergrad in 3 years and started grad school my senior year.
Very nice, man. Shout out to Nick Clark on the education at bachelor's. All right, so I have a question. So did you finish your master's? Or you still have a few?
No. I finished my master's the year after the year after football.
Very nice, man. Good for you. Very good for you. So take me after that. So you got all your education in. You got the discipline from the Naval Academy, 2 degrees. So do you decide now? Okay, music's still not an option. I'm still pursuing that, or I got my degrees, I just want to go in the workforce? What's your mind?
I mean, at the time, like playing music full time wasn't really in my, like, it really wasn't in my sights. It was just
Did you
something
pick
that I
up the
like to
bass
do.
by then, or were you kind of
No,
doodling?
I picked it up like my junior year. Like, just when I started like really going out and playing at churches and
In
around
college?
the town, and yeah, junior in college.
Okay.
And so yeah, I was playing around in churches,
So
and
after,
then after I graduated, like after I got my master's, I took a year. I was just going full force, so I took a year off, and in that year that I took off, that's what I did full time, is play music. But I really, that was different than, the mindset was different than it is now. Like then it was, I had my church gig, and then I had like a couple cover band gigs. So like I really wasn't trying to like make it in the music industry or anything like that. It was just paying the bills while I figured out what I wanted to do.
mm-hmm. And that was were you back in Fort Worth, or were you in Austin doing this, or
Austin, well, San Marcos.
San Marcos area?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I know Austin has a real big music town. For those guys that are listening, if you ever want to, I suggest if you ever want to be in a band or get around music, I can't think of another city in the United States that has a better music scene, a live band music scene, than Austin, Texas. You get exposed to a lot of different genres and hundreds of venues for you to play your original music or cover music. So
Absolutely.
So great town. So you're doing your thing, playing covers and, around churches. About how old were you at this time?
Ooh, don't get me the line. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 20. Together. Right. I don't know, maybe 20s? Like 20, 23 or something like that. 23.
Okay, early 20s.
Yeah.
Early 20s. So, all right, so you was doing this. So what, I'm trying to get to the point now, like what was your mind switch or start for you to be like, okay, maybe this is kind of cool, I'll take it more serious, or
so I took that year off, and then I got a job at Samsung Austin Semiconductor, and I did CVD engineering there for 5.5 years. But during that time I was also still playing a lot.
So you was balancing the two, working a day job and then evening time.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that, and I got married November 10, 2012. November 10th in 2012.
Okay.
So yeah, it's balancing, trying my best to balance all of that. Failing many, many, many times, but luckily my wife stayed with me.
We're gonna say you learned many, many times.
Learning times. There you go. Opportunities for excellence.
There you go. Absolutely. All right. So at this time, were you touring or gigging? Obviously, I mean, you had your cover band, and that kind of takes you away a little bit here and there. But was it anything serious? You're still working?
No, well, I started. The main gig that I had was playing with Prager.
Okay.
Which is Prager is my it's a like fusion jazz funk band that we started in Austin, and they were doing tours, and so I just never took off work, and so that when it came time to tour, I just took like 2 weeks off to go tour with Prager.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was kind of the plan there.
That was your first kind of jump. I wouldn't call it like a leap of faith, but that was your first kind of this. All right, I got to make a decision. All right, I got to tell my job I need to take some time.
Actually, it wasn't even that. Like that wasn't that hard of a decision because it was, it was PTO, it was paid time off. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah. How do you tell me what to do with my PTO?
Right. Okay.
But playing with those guys, because those guys are all, they're all like the top musicians in the city in Austin. Right. So that let me know that I could hang. So that was definitely a confidence, booster and just, telling myself, oh, I can do this full time if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that tour was a good eye opener. Be like, okay, let me start applying, just the whole the whole 100% a little bit towards music more. So you go on that tour for 2 weeks. Now, what's your thought when you get back off a tour? Were you jumping to get back to work, or you like, man?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe my last 2 years there is when I really started to think about playing music full time would look like, and yeah, just along the ways, like God was putting all these different pieces together that let me know that, that gave me a lot of faith and confidence in what He wanted me to do, as opposed to what was safe for me.
Sure. Now,
which Samsung would have been the safe thing.
Right. Well, that's the safe thing, but it's interesting for you. There's a perception that many people, which I don't think is wrong, but many people think in order for you to be successful in music, you just gotta jump out here and live on the streets and just do music 100% and don't have any other job or income outside of music. And that is a way to skin a cat for sure. But it seems like your approach was, I'm gonna be a little bit more strategic, use my education, maybe get a job to help pay out some bills, and kind of balance your income with work, and then let music kind of slowly transition.
That's another, that is another way to skin the cat. I can't, I'd be lying if I said that was my plan. Like how it happened is just kind of how it happened. Like I was not thinking in college that like, oh, I'm gonna get a master's in physics, go work at Samsung for 5 years, and then quit and do music. It was, the whole time I was just, really just following my heart and following God and letting the pieces fall where they may.
Mm-hmm. Just a quick side note. I'm a big believer in God and my faith, and it seemed like you were still playing at a church. Do you think that played a big role in your decision making as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I quit. So the church that I was involved in Austin was a startup church. One of my friends started the church. This guy named H.E.R, and he asked me and my wife to help him start the church. And that was around the same time that I started to like really get a whole lot of faith in quitting Samsung. So like all of those pieces just kind of fell all together at the same time. Like he was starting the church. He asked for my help. I was already like, I had one foot out of the door of Samsung. Got a lot of encouragement from my wife. Like there was different things happening career wise with music that, that I felt like was God saying like, hey man, I got you. Like,
yeah.
I got you. And so, yeah, that was the lead up of events that led to the final decision of leaving Samsung.
Very nice. Okay. So you go through that transition. So what's the next transition in your career, after all of that?
So I quit Samsung, and then the next week, let me see, is this right? No, because I was in New York, no. So yeah, I quit Samsung, and then I actually went to New York for 2 months. I went to New York for 2 months to study upright, because I had picked up upright bass I think maybe a year prior to that. So I really wanted to, I really like versatility is a big it's just a big like thing. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. So being versatile is like something that I really, is really important to me. So I went up there to study upright and like just kind of get away and study with the greats.
That was another personal decision of yours? Did you do that on your own dime, or did you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I had a lot of my there's a band named Snarky Puppy, and they tour like 10 months out of the year. So I just asked one of them if I could sublet their apartment while they were away. So that's what I did.
Right. Very nice. So you were up there for 2 months, got to be around Just a great musical town, man. I actually love being in New York when I'm doing music. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so what happens after that? After 2 months,
I come back to Austin and hit the ground running.
back playing. So at this time, were you playing with any I guess bigger known acts? I know you was doing a lot of Austin. I mean, if you're from Austin, I mean, you were the go-to guy. So I mean, I can go down a long list of people.
Yeah, I was just doing like local, local Austin gigs.
Was
I,
Chrisette Michelle the first major act that you played with? I guess kind of.
I guess she would be the first major act that I like started like touring regularly with. Yeah. Like I had done like gigs with other artists that came through Austin or like came through Dallas or Houston and needed me to play with them. But like I guess Chrisette would be the first like, major artist where I was, like a fixture in the band.
Okay. So at this point, all right. So have you quit your job fully, right?
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah, I
right.
quit. I think that was like 2014, maybe. Yes, April. I quit on April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day, 2014, and then I think I started playing with Chrisette maybe early 2015.
Okay. That how did that work? Was your mindset then, okay, I'm full time. I'm gonna try to network as much as possible for, because a lot of when one gig stops, you a lot of times you're just sitting there waiting on the next one. So what was your mindset now that you're full time in music so you can continue working?
Just trying to be as consistent as I could be, as versatile as I could be, and just a good, actually, like there's three kind of rules that I tell people, like young cats or whatever, that ask me like, what I need to be focused on, what I need to be focused on. So like,
Right.
kind of my three rules I try to keep in mind is first just being a good hang, like be somebody that people like to be around, be somebody that's not gonna like, cause a lot of like ruckus or like stress for anybody, especially like stress for like management. Like you don't want to cause any stress for management, like being late or like not, not like simple stuff like just responding to an email, within a timely manner, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, we live in a world where, people get mad if you don't text them back within 30 minutes.
No.
But, doing what we do, we got a lot of people texting us all day. We can't get to everything or we forget or whatever. But, really taking the time to try to respond back within 24 hours or whatever. Like, so one, be a good hang. Two, show up on time and be prepared. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, showing up on time, being prepared. It's pretty self-explanatory. And being prepared is like not just, listening to the music on the way there or whatever. It's like really digging into the music, like the sounds, like all the little nuances, the breaks, the like knowing the vocals. Yeah, all of that, like really knowing your music. And what was the third one I used to tell people or still do? I think I combined two of those. One is be a good hang, one is be on time and prepared, and three is I guess yeah, three is know your music. So yeah.
Knowing the music. That's
Yeah.
very important. So let's just kind of dig into that, just the preparation part. I've talked to several different people and everybody, some preparation is different than others. What is your preparation game like? Just say when you first went on your first tour, or you one that, man, I'm gonna dig like 8 hours a day. I'm just gonna sit here and dig it in, grind and
I
work.
mean, yeah, man, like, it's I think on one level, so like when I was at Samsung, I used to, I hung out with a lot of musicians and I saw how much that they lacked like in preparation.
Mm.
And I was thinking like, oh, I can at least do what they do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's thinking about it systematically like you would any other, 9 to 5 job, or if you own a
Yeah.
business or whatever. So actually the Chrisette gig, like my partner was already on the gig and he told me that she was going to need somebody coming up. So he gave me a little lead time on like
Okay.
preparing for the stuff, but really, like, it wasn't that long. Like, I pretty much got a call for that gig like a week before the gig. And so, she had like 25 songs, whatever. So, you
And you're
go
not
down there
reading
like,
music at that point, right? You have to know the music for the most part.
no, I read the music, but
Okay.
for a gig like that, you don't read music. You just, it's all ear.
Right.
So yeah, my process is to like listen to the song like through once, like just to listen through it again, like making like a kind of an outline of the song, if it's verse, chorus, bridge, out, whatever.
Yeah.
And then just kind of filling out the gaps from there. Like R&B music, knowing the style helps. So like R&B music, you got a section, B section, bridge, and out. So if you learn the A section, then learn the B section, then back to the A section, it may have like a little nuance or whatever. So like you listen for whatever the little nuance or flex is, and you just keep them moving.
Right. Okay. So now that we got your preparation game, that's how you got the tour. I mean, you said your buddy kind of hooked you up with that. So that just kind of tells that your networking game, and like you said, your number one rule being a good hang. So obviously you must be a good hang and not stressful around people, which I think that's actually a good point that you say, because a lot of musicians, they're very talented and they're very, very, very passionate about the music. But when it comes to joining a band or sitting in, they're just not that cool to be around, for some reason.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I mean, guys, like, it's, the music industry is not like an application you might get when you go to Walmart and fill out. It's
right.
If you can play and there's 20 other people that can play, they're going to pick the guy that, we can get on the road with and hang out with for a few months. So that was a good point.
Yep.
So after that, so you would, what's your next step after that, or move, your next tour, I guess you could say, or did you then get with Kanye? So, after
no,
that,
that didn't come till 2019. I guess, like, I was with her. I mean, not her, but Kris from like 2015 to late 2016. But during this whole time, like, I'm like
bouncing back and forth.
Like, my focus during this time was like church and like helping my partner build his music ministry there. Like, I toured and I gigged around the city, but like my priority was church.
Mm-hmm. Which that's kind of good. And shout out to Eric Moore. And I know him a little bit. I know he's a phenomenal singer and musician himself. So, just for him to be open and understanding that you have a talent and you are willing to use it for the Lord, but he still, gave you the opportunity to go out there and use your gift touring as well. So shout out to Eric Moore for that. All right. So all right. So what's the next thing that kind of pulls you away from his church? Because I know you had to move around.
So yeah, I was, just heavily involved in this church, and then, this whole time
you was married too, right? At this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
This whole time, like, I'm wanting to move, like, to LA or to New York or whatever, but just never felt, a guy gave the green light to do that. So just stayed and grew spiritually and was trying my best to, mature myself and mature my mind and mature my skill set and all that. And then actually I got the call from to come out and play with Ye, like literally the last week of a fast that me and my wife are doing. And so I got the call to come out and play with him for a couple of weeks. And then, a couple of weeks has now turned into a year and a half.
Wow. So your faithfulness, is, man, I would say that was a big part of it. I mean, you said, even while you was on the road, you was still focused on serving at your home church back in Austin.
Absolutely. Like, it's, like, music industry is uh, you know, it can be real easy to clout chase, to, you know what I'm saying, to try to, you know, hang around certain people and act a certain way and, you know, fit in with this crowd of people because you want to play with this artist or you want to be in this camp or whatever. Like, it's real easy for that to happen. And like what's kind of helped me stay grounded is just knowing that, you know, wealth and honor and prestige and all of that is going, like, that's not handed out by man, that's handed out by God. So therefore, like, I don't need to clout chase, or, you know, I don't need to like act a certain way with this crowd of people so I can get to this level in the industry or whatever. Like, you know, whatever God wants to happen is going to happen. So everything I do, I just try to, you know, put them at the forefront of it and let the chips fall where they may.
And that's kind of interesting to me, even with your faith, your last week of a fast, and then you get the call to go with Ye. So, and what type of music was he doing at the time?
At the time, he had just started Sunday service, which is, you know, the gospel project that he started. And
how amazing is that?
I mean, you like it's as amazing as it looks on on the internet.
Just the refreshing part of you still get to kind of like play at church. It's a Sunday service. I mean, you not saying you would have turned it down if Ye was doing
right.
But it's just a little bit more awesome that you get to still play the style of music that, you know, you was going to do on Sunday anyway. That was a big priority for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely don't get to do that style of music as much as I would like to, but it's for the same purpose.
Same purpose. There you go. Same purpose.
Yeah.
So what was your preparation the same for that? Was it like you had a call and a week later y'all did the Sunday service, started that?
Absolutely. Yep.
I guess that's usually just for anybody preparing is the pre-preparation is not really practicing learning how to play your instrument. It's more so just learning the music. And
yeah, man, retention, like, you know, like especially playing gigs and stuff, like, I mean, like being like great at your instrument is one thing, but then also like learning how to like play gigs and play with artists and stuff, like that's a different thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't play as near as much music as I play with Prager with Ye. Like I don't need that kind of facility on a Ye gig. However, the retention is different. Like with playing, you know, with artists back at the crib that you play with all the time, like you're not learning new songs all the time. Except I guess if you're playing at church or whatever every week, hopefully you're learning some new stuff every time. But man, actually, like that's what I tell cats to, like cats don't like playing cover gigs or whatever, but about cover gigs is like paid school. Like about shed on your retention, shed on how to like sound design, like cats don't be knowing how to play key bass. So like, you know, and all that stuff got key bass on it. Like use the gig as an opportunity to shed on your craft as opposed to, you know, making your $400 on a wedding gig or whatever. That's paid school.
Taking a little bit more seriously. There's opportunity there.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity for excellence.
All right. So what, were you any kind of nervous? Because I mean, Kanye, I mean, at this time, I mean, everybody know him. He's, I mean, literally one of the biggest artists, maybe of all time. I mean, he's pretty one of the biggest of all time. And you're leading his band. I mean, as far as like you're the original bass player, key bass player, synth. I don't know what all your responsibility was, but to kind of go in there and set the tone, what was the vibe of everything once you got with the band? Was everybody nervous, excited? Was there some OGs in there? Was some new cats? What was the vibe?
I mean, it's mostly all new cats, but like, I mean, cats who've been working. So like,
sure.
You know, I think I was probably the only one that was green to the Hollywood.
They didn't treat you too bad, did they?
Right. Now everybody was real cool, man. I was actually really surprised. Everybody was, for the most part, was like really, really cool.
Yeah. So that caused you to
everybody's
move out
there
there?
to work. Uh-huh.
So let's talk about that. You was married at the time. I don't know if you have kids.
No kids,
But
just a wife and 2 dogs.
okay, so you got a dogs are a responsibility. I got one, so
Absolutely.
you think about it when you travel, so you had to consider that.
Right.
So what was the whole for the people that may be in the same situation that are trying to figure things out at household? And not saying we're a marriage counselor, we're the experts, but what was your process of balancing? Now I gotta deal with my wife and what she has going on for us to transition to a whole new state within
Um,
a short time frame.
I mean,
Was there some pre-talk going on? Like, okay, this could be
well, yeah, I
working.
mean, both of us were, this whole like 4 or 5 year period, whatever. Like both of us wanted to, like, you know, both of us are entrepreneurs at heart. So she was a teacher, but she wanted to do her own thing too. So we were just kind of waiting on a green light from God to be like, all right, we release y'all, go do y'all thing. So like I came out here, and then like a month into it, she was just like, all right, this is it. And then we just did it.
Right.
So that's the short end of it. The longer portion of it is just making sure that you and your spouse are on the same page about what you're doing and why you're doing it, but also, like keeping him or her like involved in your career so that they don't feel like that they're just on the outskirts, like, on the outskirts peeking in, like y'all are a team.
Right. Feel like, yeah, for sure, man. That's good. That's good. So with this Kanye gig, I mean, everybody's seen the Sunday service. If you haven't, I mean, you could definitely check it out on YouTube or many platforms out there. But how was it now that you're performing in front of thousands of people? I don't know. What's the biggest crowd you played in front of? Was it Coachella?
Let me see. Was it Coachella? Yeah, I guess Coachella will play. Coachella will probably be it. But like again, I played college football, so like.
Oh yeah, y'all had the big.
Yeah, like probably the
Used to the big
biggest,
arenas.
like the biggest, like I guess stadium that I played in was like Kyle Stadium, Texas, like playing Texas A&M, and that was a sold out. And like Kyle is shoot, don't get me the line. Kyle is like it got to be like 80 or 90K.
Mm. Do you think all of those moments? I mean, just looking back, hearing your story, military, learning discipline, having an opportunity to play sports, team sports, learning how to hang, teamwork, being around different cultures and backgrounds. Also more discipline with sports to, winning, playing at the big stages on college to a lot of people. Do you think to having a good foundation with church, do you think any of those things or all of those things kind of played a part in grooming you, being ready when the baton was handed to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is
Build up.
everything is a learning process for the next thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's like it's just like it's like right before we got on the call, you asked about like, man, you had a pretty good run, like, and I like my response was I don't really think of things in that way. Everything is a learning experience for the next thing. Like, of course, like this, I'm super grateful for like this, the Kanye opportunity and the opportunity to come out to Hollywood and be, and people like what I do, so I'm able to work. But this is a learning, opportunity for the next thing, which is going to be, I don't want to say bigger, but this is going to be a new challenge.
Mm-hmm. And you, into being versatility, you look like you accept the challenge. You embrace the challenge.
You got to. That's what we do as Christians.
That's right. That's right. And 2020 is a good opportunity for a lot of Christians out here.
Absolutely.
Side note on that. Side note, that's a different podcast on that one.
Hashtag message.
Hashtag. So let's get into. So you're playing Kanye, and you know we see you at Coachella, we see you at Sunday Service, and I look up and you're on the BET Awards. I think you was playing with her, wasn't it? You was actually playing an upright bass, which was pretty cool.
Yep.
So how did that work? How did that happen?
Man, you know, taking chances. One of those. So after I went to New York that first time, I tried to make it a point to go to, you know, New York or LA like every year for like a few weeks at a time to, you know, just to, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So I tried to be in people's sight as much as I could. And so there was actually an audition for an off-Broadway play up there that one of my friends hit me to. And so yeah, I went up there, did the audition, and the guy that was helping the producers with the audition was this guy named Lonzo Harris, and he just happened to be H.E.R's MD, which I didn't know at the time. Like I didn't even know who he was at the time. He was just cool, and it was a good hang for the time that I was there. And so, man, it's a lot easier to do that with social media now because, you know, 20 years ago, like if you met somebody, you had to, you know, exchange numbers and like actively follow up and all that, which, you know, you still have to do that to an extent now. But then, you know, we just exchange like IG and like now I always see what he's doing. He always see what I'm doing. So he hit me up a few weeks before that and was like, hey, bro, I got this artist. I knew he MD'd for a lot of artists. I knew he MD'd for H.E.R too, but like he does, you know, Zoe is you know, he's one of the goats.
yeah.
on the East Coast. And so he hit me up to ask would I help him out one of his artists playing upright. And you know, like 2 days before the rehearsal, like the manager hit me up. And like I know who her management team is. So when I got an email from her management team, I was like, oh, this is for, you know, it's for little Gabby.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how that worked out. He just, you know, I met him at an audition for an off-Broadway play like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And he just, you know, kept tabs.
Man, it still goes back to your one of your 3 principles, 3 steps. Just putting in
be prepared, be a good hang.
That's cool, man. That was actually a pretty good set, man. I think that will go down as one of the best performances in BET history, man. That was,
man, thank you.
Yeah, that was an excellent performance that you guys had. And I didn't. Was she really playing the bass? Because I never.
Absolutely, and she learned that in a week.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
So let's get on it's the demand at the level that you're at, playing top of the line artists, A-list artists. Is the demand different there than it is for if you're not an A-list artist? Because like you said, like, okay, you got to learn material very quickly, the retention rate, you know, even her, she had to learn a bass part within a week. So is that common playing with Kanye? Okay, every week we're learning a whole new set. What's the demand on that and the learning?
Man, I think they got a whole lot more to do with who you are as a musician than it does with the situation. Like if you're gauging how much work you put in by what artist you're playing with, like as you know, that's not that's not the most effective way to do things, right? From my perspective, because if you just treat every artist or every situation like A-list, like once you get the big gig or whatever, you ain't gotta like be stressed out about trying to like get ready or whatever because you already ready. You know, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Man, it's just amazing just to see your character and how you maintain that character.
And here's my wife, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. But just even back in school when, you know, it just shows that no matter what you do, you're going to be successful. I mean, just to take the time back in college to, hey, I'm going to spend 3 hours on my own and study after rehearsal, you know, just the discipline to do that. And And you know, when nobody's watching, and that's the sign of a great entrepreneur and great character. When nobody's watching, you still put in the work.
Absolutely. And then like coming from like the people who know, let me see. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. You good?
Okay. Like what's funny is like once you put in the work, like you can easily tell like when other people put in the work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like once you put in the work, you realize that it's not really that hard to put in the work. So
Right.
it's like when I see like other cats or whatever talking about like how hard of a time that they're having doing whatever, or saying like, man, I can't like get gigs or whatever. I'm like, bro, I told you the 3 rules, man. Just do them every time.
You're not more. It's probably a little piece in there called work. You're probably not. You're missing a little bit of something, but
yeah,
man. And I think just maybe with the sports, my attitude is, you know, if you put in the work, you should be a little bit confident. And when you do get those opportunities, you should be like, you know what, I'm confident in myself that I prepared for this opportunity. You know, you might be a little nervous, and hey, you know, it's new. I've never done it before, but if somebody asked me to play some music, some sheet music, if you've been learning your notes and practicing sheet music and practicing songs and study, it shouldn't be a problem for somebody to put a few chords, no matter, like you said, who it is, if it's Kanye West or if it's little Kiki or little whoever on
yeah, absolutely.
little neighbor or something, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. So all right, so you've gone that thing, and then you went on to, I think recently you was it JoJo that you played for as well? Was that
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the same situation? Just you got a call last minute?
What happened there? No, that wasn't last minute. That was so I have a friend actually that I grew up with in Fort Worth that he's been out here in LA for 6-7 years now, maybe. And just within his network of producers and MDs and stuff, like she needed somebody, and relationships.
Relationships. That's the key to it all. Just a couple more questions here, and once again, Nick, thanks for your time
Yeah,
coming
of
on the
course.
KeyZ Method. So your relationships, do you feel that it's important? I know we have social media now, and I know you try to, before you put yourselves and fly to New York once a year, but do you think for somebody that's in a smaller city, if they're maybe even in Austin and, you know, they might be doing good and they're just trying to branch out, expand their music career, go to the next level, maybe they're in a smaller city, do you think it's important or necessary to go to a LA, a New York, Florida, Atlanta, some of these, if you're doing country, maybe try to go to Nashville and be around that?
I mean, absolutely, to an extent. Like Austin, it just depends on what you want to do. Like,
could you do what you're doing
if
without living in LA? I guess I would ask.
Absolutely not. Like, as far as like being around where the opportunities are, I wouldn't be. But I mean, I got the Kanye gig living in Austin. You know what I'm saying? So
Very true. Very
you know what
true.
I'm saying? So like, there's a one. You got to be real about whatever your goals are. Like, if your goals are to be a touring musician with like A-list, or let's say mainstream, like
Mainstream. Okay.
a big like Billboard mainstream artist, then like, yeah, you probably need to go to LA or or Nashville or Atlanta, one of those places. But like, that ain't everybody's goal. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? If your goal is to be just to make money playing music and producing music, you can literally do that from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And build your own audience, and you know and use all the analytical tools to find out where your different pockets are, and market to that. to that group of people or whatever, like you can definitely make a living in music without being in New York, LA, Atlanta,
Sure.
whatever. But if your goal is to get a pub deal with a major with a major record company, well, no, actually, you can do that without. So yeah, really, the only reason you need to be in another city is if you want to like be around for these different opportunities for like TV broadcasting, or being in a city where like because I've done like a few sessions with her, and I only got those sessions because like I got a call like 3 hours before the session, and it was like, hey bro, can you pull up to the studio at 10? Like that only happens in LA. And then once you build a relationship, then you can do it from anywhere. But like that kind of quick just pull up on the studio only happens in LA.
Right. Yeah, it's
Or
definitely
New
important.
York, or another big city.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a lot of good tips right there for you guys listening. Out. Put yourselves out. Put your face to the music. Sometimes that's definitely necessary at some point of your career. It's up to you to decide when that might be. So let's just say, I know, man, you're at playing one of the phenomenal gigs, Kanye, amazing stages. But it seems like when you do come back to Austin, either visiting, you still take the time to go back to your roots. And, I'm here and we have some phenomenal Jackie Vincent. I know you play with her, and, just the Austin crowd. I mean, you're still
I'm
playing
real
just
big,
with whoever.
man. I'm real big on language. It's not that I'm going back to my roots. It's we're all just progressing together. And like, I have, I've opened up another network for
Mm-hmm.
people in Austin, like, and that's it. Like my goal isn't to be like, touring basis for the next 20 years, or my goal isn't to, necessarily like solely win 10 Grammys. Like my musical journey will be fulfilled when I've won 100 other people one Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Like it got
Right.
like my career has a lot more to do with my community than it does with me. So like when I'm out here, it's because I'm learning business and network and how to make different plays so I can bring it back to the community in Austin.
Right, man. I think that's awesome, man. Man, definitely thank you for, challenging me to correct my language. And yeah, I know some of the artists and a lot of the artists that, you've played with and that I've supported or watched or know about here in Austin. I would call them not mainstream artists today. But, keep listening to the KeyZ Method, and, some of them will be on here, but I'm pretty sure within the next year or two, a lot of these Austin artists and musicians will be considered mainstream. So that's just to me another little tip that don't stop working or forgetting about the people if you do have an opportunity, because some of those people are putting in work while you're still touring, and you don't want to burn those relationships because you feel like, oh, with this person now, and you know how the attitude goes. Some,
Yeah,
not
that's
saying you're like
so.
that.
Well, yeah,
I've seen
that's just so corny.
it's so low and shallow, and this music industry, for guys that the guys that are on this KeyZ Method, the 14 keys.
Well, actually, let me make a distinction. There's a difference between that and like just leveling up. Like if you
Yes.
leveling up and your community ain't leveling up with you, like
Well, you gotta let
don't
that go, brother.
don't you know what I'm saying? Don't stress yourself out trying to bring along everybody else. Like, you can,
We all
like
should want to help each other and
we
support
are, yeah. Like all you can do
no
is show them the
matter.
keys. If they don't use the keys, then that's on them.
It's up to you. So let me ask you, have you been doing much studio work? I was going to ask, is it a difference between the studio versus live?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the difference that you see being in the studio without your
Um,
live experience?
just learning how to play, which learning how to play this way also helps out your live playing. But like I actually learned this from there's a gospel drummer named Terry Baker, who's like, I mean, he's been playing on the top gospel records for the past 30 years. But I did a session with him, and like he was playing the most like intentional stuff. And like we talked about it, and he said he's thinking about what it's gonna sound like 6 months from now. Wow. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like, you know, there's a balance between playing how you feel in a moment and playing how you feel in a moment that's gonna serve the song 6 months from now. You know what I'm saying? That's a different kind of ear. And so like I've tried to approach definitely playing studio like that, but also playing live too, because especially now in the YouTube era, like
it's documented.
People gonna be listening to it 6 months from now. So you gotta like, you know, as long as you're paying attention to the music and listening to the people around you and, you know, reacting and, you know, really got your ears on, all is gonna be fine. But if you're trying to play, like if you're trying to fit the lick in that you've been shedding on for the past 2 weeks, like it's probably not gonna come off the way you want it to.
Mm-hmm. Is that the hardest part? Because I see a lot of musicians once they get in the studio, it's hard to kind of reel them in. You know, less is more in the studio sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's a daily. You know, especially once you start once you start producing more, you start to realize like how certain, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially as a lot of bass players play a lot of like ghost notes, you know what I'm saying? With the 16th notes and all that kind of stuff. And like once I started producing, I started to figure out like, oh, like all of this doesn't need to be happening all at the same time.
Right.
So you just start to be more cognizant of like playing when you're supposed to play and then leaving space where it's supposed to be space.
Right. So let's, I guess one of my last questions is tell the people what's your rig now, your live rig. I don't know if you have multiple rigs, but tell us some of your gear you use.
So my Moog Voyager is my key bass of choice. Aguilar amps and speakers.
What size?
So my main, you know, the number one choice on the amp is the DB751. Man, I do like the GS 412s, but I don't even think they make them anymore, and it's hard to put it on the back line because not a lot of people have them. So like perfect world, I have 412s, or not 412, like, you know, 412 on top, 412 on bottom. But like if I don't have that, I just use 410s.
Okay. And what about your bass?
Fender. Mostly Fender style instruments, but brand name Fender. And then there's a company out in South Korea called Mulan that basically, you know, they cracked the cheat code to old 50s and 60s Fender P basses. And so I have a Mulan bass, and then there's a builder out in San Marcos named Brady Muckleroy, and like that bass is it's one of my favorites to play, except like when I'm in church, like that's my bass. Like if I'm playing gospel music, like that Brady, you know, the Muckleroy is like my like go-to. Right. But since I don't play a whole lot of like church stuff anymore, and like a lot of people, you know, just want that Fender sound, you know, that's you know, Fender P bass with flat wounds is number one, and the Fender 5 with round wounds is number 2.
Gotcha. What about any pedals? Because I mean, Kanye, I mean, you're doing are you doing sound design or running anything through
like all the sound? No, all the sound design is with Ye is just all on the Moog. I don't really use any outboard except for like expression pedals. Like I use I can't give everybody my sauce, but I use a lot.
Hey, we can't give everybody the sauce now. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute, guys. This is only on the Keys Method. We can't.
But no, I use expression pedals routed to different parameters to give stuff a different swing live. And then
sounds pretty close on the head. I mean, I can't tell if I'm listening to it.
Yeah, and like he don't even like he barely like electric bass in the first place. So like most of that gig is mostly key bass. Well, not that he doesn't like electric bass. He really likes the mode. So I've had to learn how to really get around on that instrument the past year and a half. But I do use, like, especially with Prager though, I use, I like the Timber Fave octave pedal by 3-leaf. I like the Pog.
Yeah.
I like the MXR envelope filter. I mean, I like all the MXR stuff, the delay stuff, the reverb. I use Aguilar's pedal, like the compression pedal. I use their compressor pedal. Yeah, that's it. Noble DI. It's a really dope Noble tube preamp for bass. That's like really killing.
You might want to call these guys. I think they're going to get an increase of about 500 orders overnight.
And then I do all of my programming in Ableton, like for Ye shows or for any other shows that I'm programming. That's all Ableton.
Ableton guys, okay, very nice. Well, man, that sounds like a great setup there, and man, you guys look like you're having tons of fun up there on stage, or I don't even call it stage. I mean, you guys, y'all took it to another level. Y'all just go in the middle of anywhere and set up shop.
And Ye is gonna be. He's always gonna be good to go left when everybody is going right.
Like, I keep saying it's my last question, but just since you with Ye, like, what's Kanye? I don't even feel like I deserve to even say Ye. I got to say Kanye since I don't know the man. But how's it work with him? I mean, because people think he's a smile and then he frowns. Like, is he a funny guy? Because in the back of my mind, I feel like
he's absolutely hilarious. But real thought provoking. Inspiring. Like,
does he give y'all pep talks before the gigs?
No, he's good for a he'll like really like crack the door open and let us into what he's thinking every once in a while, which that's always great because you just you get to see that he's so much more than what people like think he is, or
right.
what gets put out in media. He's a solid dude, real smart, real creative, relentless in pursuing his ideas. Like,
You feel like you'll learn. You picked up a lot of, not a lot, but do you feel like you picked up some things from that?
Absolutely. I got a whole laundry list of things.
Bring that on to Texas, man. Man, that's awesome, man. So for the guys, man, that want to continue following you and see what you have going on, man, where can the people follow you out or check you out at?
All my handles are NC Bass Physics, NCBASSPHYSICS. That's on Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook is just Nick Clark. I'm terrible, so I don't have a website, but
right.
But you can find me on all those platforms.
For sure, man. I know you're very busy, but is there any other ventures or business ideas or that you guys, you or your wife are launching or starting up at this time? Just get a little promotion out there.
Yeah. My wife runs an education resource site online. It's called teacherdoodles.com. Especially since everybody got their kids at home wondering what to do with them, she has a lot of resources on her website. I guess that's all really her, she's with education and I'm with music, and you can find us.
That's what's up, man. Well, Man, this has been an awesome interview. Once again, Nick, thank you so much for taking the time, while on tour, playing, doing session work, just to be on the KeyZ Method and share your story. And I hope you guys that are listening, I hope you guys got some good tips and tricks and just a good idea of what it's like to be a professional on the road and playing and doing just playing with Kanye and BT Wars and just all the cool things, but also having the mindset to stay normal and just remember where you came from, your roots, and just, man, you're just a well-balanced guy with character. I can just see that throughout your whole life. And man, many blessings and much success to the rest of your career, Nick. Thank you so much. Guys, you've been listening to the KeyZ Method. You guys, y'all stay creative. Peace.